What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our Pac-12 football channel. Our 2019 college football schedule previews continue with the Utah Utes. You can see their schedule here on your screen, and it's really not that bad of a schedule. If you look at their non-conference schedule, they play BYU, Northern Illinois, and Idaho State. So not the most challenging non-conference schedule there. They also avoid Oregon, who is arguably the favorite in the Pac-12 North, and they avoid Stanford as well. So a really favorable schedule. You look at the road games in the conference: USC, Oregon State, Washington, Arizona. Those will be challenging games, but really I think the toughest game on the schedule would be that road game against Washington. This is a Utah team that brings a whole lot back from last season. I haven't done my power rankings yet, but looking at it right now, I think you would put Utah at number 2 behind Oregon with everything that they have coming back. This is going to be a very, very good football team, and I think they are the early favorites to win the Pac-12 South. So you start with BYU on the road, Thursday night game. Could be interesting. We'll see what happens there when they open up the season, but if they get by that test, you win their next 2 games most likely. Then there's a huge game against USC. That's a Friday night game, I believe. So that will be a huge, huge game early in the season. Then Washington State, Oregon State on the road, Arizona State and Cal at home. You could be undefeated potentially at that point if they get past USC. Then the tough game against Washington on the road. UCLA is going to be much better this season. Arizona on the road could be a tough challenge. And then they finish the season out with Colorado, who I think will be better, but I think Utah will still be favored in that game as well. So yes, this is a schedule that sets up very nicely for Utah, and if they could get through this schedule maybe with 1 loss, I don't know if they're going to go undefeated, but if they get this through the schedule with 1 loss and then they face maybe, let's say, a 1-loss Oregon team in the Pac-12 championship game, Utah is a dark horse playoff contender. Now it's going to be tough again with a weak schedule. I don't know if with 1 loss they would still get into the playoffs, but they would definitely be in that conversation. So keep your eye on this Utah team, a very dangerous team and a team that could surprise some people in 2019. Again, you look at the schedule, you look for the easy games, the automatic wins. Normally these are just going to be FCS opponents. So with Utah, you can go with Idaho State. I think that's pretty much a guaranteed win. Of course, like I always say, there are no guarantee wins in sports or in college football, but that's a win that I think you can go ahead and give them. Also, you look at the rest of the schedule, I feel pretty confident that they're going to beat Northern Illinois. That should be a win. And then you look at Oregon State. Oregon State's a team that I think they should beat. And there's some other games on there where they're going to probably be pretty good favorites. Arizona State, Cal at home, Colorado at home. That's 3 games there. If Washington State doesn't find a quarterback, that could be a fairly easy win. So again, this schedule is very, very favorable for Utah. But for now, we're just going to go ahead and give you those 2 games. We're going to give you Northern Illinois and Oregon State. We'll say that they win both of those games. So 3 wins for sure. Not for sure, but very, very, very likely that they win those 3 games. Then you look at the rest of the schedule. Like I mentioned, I think, got to give them a good chance against BYU. Washington State's at home. Arizona State's at home. Cal is at home. UCLA is going to be better, but that game is at home. Colorado at home. If they take care of business in those games and beat BYU, rivalry game early in the season, they're going to be favored there. It comes down to USC, Washington, and Arizona. Those were going to be the 3 biggest tests. USC we still don't know about, but that's going to be a tough game, I think. And Arizona is another team that we don't know a whole lot about at this point, but we think they're going to be improved. But those are winnable games. And then again, it just comes down to that game against Washington. They've got to win that game, or if they do win that game, could really, really be in that playoff conversation. I don't know that they run the table, though. With those 3 games all on the road, I don't see this Utah team winning all 3 of them. But I think they could easily win 2 out of 3. And again, if they take care of business in the rest of those games, you're looking at potentially an 11-1 season for this Utah team, a team that's, again, going to be good and has a favorable schedule. When we look at the projected wins here, this is only looking at the 12 regular season games. We're not looking at conference championships or bowl games or anything like that. So I think it's between 9-3 and 11-1 for this team. Perhaps you lose 2 out of those 3 road games and then slip up in another game against maybe UCLA or even BYU to open up the season on the road. Potentially a third loss in there. You know, I feel pretty confident, though, that this Utah team is going to win 10 or 11 games. But, again, it's college football. Upsets happen. And I think worst-case scenario for Utah is probably about 9-3. And, again, with a favorable schedule, a veteran team, no reason why this Utah team can't win 9 games. And, again, I think best-case scenario for them is probably 11-1. I mean, I'm almost willing to put a 12 there because of Washington and the fact that they might not be as good. But with that game on the road and with the other road games, again, USC, Arizona, BYU to start the season, I just don't know if this team is going to be quite good enough to go undefeated, go 12-0. So 11 wins, I think, is probably the best case scenario. Thank you for watching this video. If you're a Pac-12 football fan, please subscribe to the channel. Leave us your thoughts down in the comments below. And for the latest in Pac-12 football, keep it right here.